And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because typically this is not the type of interview I normally do. And I'm going to actually probably edit some of this like first stuff out just because I need to put context, because most of the people that watch my videos and things won't really be understanding how come I'm talking to a fighter, just because a lot of people don't realize that, I've been following the fight scene, and I've always found it useful to train mixed martial arts and things like that, just for mental health and for, physical fitness, things like that. But you and I were both overweight. So I was over
Yes.
300 pounds
Okay.
personally for a little over a decade. And then I lost all the weight and became a personal trainer and did that for quite a few years. And I actually started to notice that my clients were benefiting more from the mental exercises that I was beginning to do with them later on in my career than they were actually getting from the benefit of being with me every day, for 1 hour working out. So trying to kind of leave them with a sort of mental focus every time they left the gym, I found had a better impact on their overall fitness and health and goals. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I was interested in talking to you, is just to kind of get your take on, I know you just trained with Khabib recently, went and trained with him, which I want to say I think he probably definitely is a contender for a GOAT.
Yeah, he's a killer, man.
Oh my goodness. I don't ever want to make that guy mad. Yeah, I'll stay on his good side all the time. But so yeah, I just kind of wanted to kind of get your take on that, if you had a take, and just kind of see what you thought.
As far as Khabib, or
I mean, just about like tools for mental focus, and like how do you stay in the zone, I guess, like whenever you go into a fight. I've seen you shift, like you're a different dude when you get in the cage, and like get that killer instinct and things like that. But that doesn't just happen the moment you step into the cage, though. That like there's a whole process
for
that leads
sure.
up to that, I
Um,
think.
and that's something that it's funny that that's like your first go-to question, because that's a deep one. Like that's something that I've worked on for years. I've been fighting since I was 18. I just turned
Yeah.
27. I've
Mm,
had a lot of finishes. I've had a lot of good fights. I've had a few bad fights. But as of recently, in the last year specifically, like or 2 years, mentality has been a big point of improvement that I've focused on. That and strength, physical strength alone. I feel
mm,
like were my two biggest flaws as far as fighting. I felt like I was weaker than a lot of my opponents a few years ago, and I felt like I didn't think I was mentally weaker than them, but I feel like mentally I just couldn't get myself into that right place. Um,
mm.
and I didn't know how to describe it until as of late. I saw a video about Dominic Cruz, and he talks about, and
Never. Yeah.
I've never considered myself a martial artist, more just like a fighter. I do
Okay.
martial arts, and I feel like being a fighter is getting me down that road to become a martial artist, but I've never considered myself one. And this video from Dominic Cruz, basically, he's talking about what it's like to be a martial artist and how you have to be humble and have the respect for others and all this stuff and the light side of things. But come fight night, come competition time, you kind of have to dabble into the dark side. Like you have to take some of those negative emotions and use it. And
Mm,
I feel like I didn't know how to just tap into it. Like I feel like I just dove into it. Like when I was trying to get ready to a fight, it was like kill or be killed. I like all these negative emotions, but I didn't use them. I dove too far in, and like I was an asshole and I was angry, and that chip on my shoulder was carried everywhere, just not into the cage. Um, and people that are around me can attest to it. Like there was a long time where I was sad slash angry slash depressed because I was trying to get these negative emotions to work for me, and prior
mm.
to that, I was trying to just get rid of these negative emotions. Like as soon as a negative thing would pop in my head, I was like, it's got to go. But
Got it.
now it's kind of like it's got to almost be dormant until it's time
Mm,
to use that.
got it.
Um, and as of late, I've gotten better at using it.
And negative can mean one thing to one person and something else to someone different. So whenever you talk about negative emotions, what specifically would you say is a negative emotion that, if whenever it's time to use it, you use it?
I mean, there's so many that I've used in the past, and like I said, it's negative. It's not a good thing. It's not your best side. It can be jealousy that someone else is succeeding in a career that you're chasing. It can be, the anger at yourself over a loss. Like for a while, I would use the anger of, blowing the tough finale as like,
Mm,
be angry about that and use that. And
mm,
as of late, what's worked best for me is kind of that, but almost like a different version of it. I'm
okay.
angry. I'm angry that I'm not where I want to be in life yet. I'm angry that I still have to work before I go to training. I'm angry that I have to miss training to go to work.
Man, and you work, bro. You're like cleaning industrial grills and stuff. I see you doing that. Is that your family business or?
Yeah, my dad runs it, and I will say, like, his scheduling is all over the place. So some weeks I'm working mornings, and some weeks I'm working overnights, and some weeks I'm doing both. So I lose out on a lot of sleep, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
and I do miss a couple training sessions a week, and I try to stay positive about it, throughout the week and when I'm not fighting. But come fight night, like that anger comes back out where I'm like, and I've said it before, if I lose, getting to the UFC gets postponed. And eventually, if
Right.
you
Yeah.
lose enough, you never make the UFC. So then it's like, okay, now we have to take a whole new
There
venture.
goes your record.
Exactly. There goes your record. There goes your career. And your whole venture and route changes because now instead of being a professional fighter, maybe you want to open a gym, but you have to save up the money for that. So now you're back to work without the escape of training and fighting because you're not going to be able to pursue that career anymore. So as of
Right.
late,
Right.
that anger of not being where I want to be yet is what switches while I'm in the cage. And even in the locker room, that, like you said, doesn't just happen when I get in the cage. It's that
Mhm.
5-10 minutes right before I walk out where they say, you're up next. And all this fear and all this doubt starts to creep in. And those are the negative emotions that I can't use and I can't let them use me.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
in the locker room, I'm pacing back and forth and I'm
So
talking to myself.
maybe like the anger, the jealousy, the things that maybe cause that rage, that those emotions, but the things that like limit us, like you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not, you haven't done the work or whatever. That's the stuff that those are also negative emotions, right? But those are the ones that you're talking about. Those got to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be able to use them and not let them use you. And that fear
Yeah.
of like you're not good enough is probably the biggest one that used to get in my way.
That's a big lie too, right?
A
Because
huge lie.
on any day, anybody's good enough on any given day, and especially those of you that put in the extra work, as whenever it comes to fighting and shit like that. But yeah, no, that's interesting. I was going to ask you about something that we talk a lot about in my field of hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, things like that. I work in mental health care, and
Okay.
I teach workshops on mental health care, and then I also work one-on-one with clients. And one of my colleagues is like a sports psychologist and uses the same exact modalities that I use when working with individuals for a men's soccer team.
Okay.
College soccer team right over here close to us. So I talk mostly to colleagues about the different tools that we use for mindfulness, and one of them that is talked about a lot is visualization, and like ahead of time, like visualizing things. I even watched an interview with Anderson Silva where he talks about one of the like elbows that he saw in a movie, and he just kept visualizing over and over using that in a finish. And then he did, and his coach had even told him, you got to stop saying that, like you like stop saying that, you're going to finish him with that. And but he kept visualizing it over and over again, and then he did it. And sometimes that works out for fighters and sometimes it doesn't. The infamous Ronda Rousey interview where she says she's going to head kick me, or thinks she's going to head kick me, and that's how it's going to go, but it won't. And then
It
it's
did.
exactly what the fuck happened. Yeah, so it's like, what do you think about visualization as a useful and resourceful tool for fighters, and given your success?
I think it's huge. I think it's another thing that recently I've just gotten into. So, now when I have a fight, me and my girlfriend will go by the venue after we'll get breakfast. And then around 11 o'clock, we'll go down to the venue and I get in the cage and I'm in that cage for probably like an hour.
Mm,
Some guys show up like right before the event starts and they're in there for like five,
mm.
10 minutes, but I'm in there for an hour and I'm like fighting. I'm not just shadow boxing. Like I'll literally lay down in the
You
center of the
watch the whole
cage.
fight in your
Yes.
mind?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Everything though, good and
Yeah.
bad. I'll shadow
Yeah.
box like I'm landing everything I want. I'll put myself on the cage like he's holding me there. I'll lay on the floor like I just got dropped. I just
Mm-hmm.
want everything to feel natural. The way I walk into the gym and like the mat and the wall mat is natural and I can just get on the mat and train. That's what I want my fight to be like. So I'll sit against the wall. I'll do get-ups and like scratch my back against the wall, and I'll pace back and forth. I'll feel out every inch of the canvas, and I'll get into different positions that I may.
You're making it all real, like the real moment, what it's going to feel like, and getting used to that. Okay. Yeah, that is a, so we use that with hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming all the time, is making the imaginary as real as you can with the kinesthetics, which is tactile touch, you know, like you say, rubbing your back against the cage, feeling your back on the mat, and what that's going to feel, you know, dropping. A lot of people don't realize how important it is to do falls and just get used to not biting your tongue every time you hit the mat. You know, I remember the first few times I did it. I bit my tongue. I was just like, man, I'm an idiot, you know. And then I realized, you know, like, you know, tucking your chin, all that stuff, like, but it just becomes, the more you even in your mind do it, when it happens in real time, you'll go to that place, right?
It takes away the fear.
Yeah, because what's the worst thing that can happen? I've already been here.
Exactly.
I've already laid here in my, you know, I've already been in this position in my mind. So what's the worst thing that can happen? So that's something recently that you adopted. Why? What happened? Why did you start adopting?
So a couple of years ago, I was coming off 2 losses, you know, one not so close and the other one a really close split decision loss. And I just felt like I wasn't improving anymore. And so I took a year, and I made a post. I said, guys, I'm taking a year off competition. I'm still training, but there's just certain areas that I need to improve at. One of them was my strength and conditioning. I power lifted like crazy. And the other one was my mentality. You know, like, and
whenever you do powerlifting, are you talking about like power cleans, like with the barbell and like kettlebells and all that shit? Or like, what was your focus? Cleans and snatches?
Snatches and cleans, bench, squat, deadlift. Like more consistently, because it is super hard, you know, bench, squatting, deadlifting, doing cleans, and then going to jiu-jitsu or kickboxing afterwards. It's horrible. So I took a couple of months where I was just lifting.
I'm one of the few people that is not a professional and won't ever be a professional fighter, who can completely attest that is the worst, is going absolutely wrecked after that, the powerlifting, and then going and trying to use those same muscles for submissions and like wrestling and stuff. It's the worst. But I mean, it's good, but it's the worst.
Yeah, it's hard. So I had plenty of time where I was, you know, I didn't train jiu-jitsu and kickboxing for a couple months, and I was just lifting. You know, I'd push myself to the limit. I'd be dead tired, but then I got to recover and relax, and then slowly worked my way into doing both. Because originally I would skip powerlifting. So I was like, I got to go do jiu-jitsu tonight. And you could see it in my fights. And then my couple fights that I lost, you could say the same thing with my mentality. Like I hadn't improved mentally, and I was just like in this place of, you know, I had this fear. Like I wasn't afraid, but there was fear, and like the dark stuff, like it was in my way. I wasn't using it. So, you know, it's funny that you keep talking about hypnosis. Like I tell people all the time, like when I wake up in the morning, I literally go to YouTube and I'm like motivational video, and I pull somebody up and I literally listen to it and hypnotize myself. And I tell people, hypnotize yourself, like, because all the negative shit that people say about you and you say to yourself, that's you hypnotizing yourself. So
it's no different. You're creating a reality for yourself.
So just hypnotize yourself with the good shit just as easily.
I like that. That's dope. Yeah. So, and how did you come up? Who told you that? Like, how'd you come up with that?
Nobody, you know, I was scrolling through social media and I saw a couple motivational videos, and I was like, I can do this, because when I was in high school and I originally decided like to wrestle and start losing weight, I did the same thing. You know, I was just like, I was motivated already. You know, I was like, I want to lose weight, but I didn't have the inspiration, that extra push. And I was on YouTube one day, and it sounds corny. It was like a Dragon Ball Z montage with like a voiceover. Yeah. And it's like all this motivation. It's like this motivational shit with Goku powering up. And I was like, like I could do that. Like I'll go Super Saiyan right now. And I still do it. I'll still pull up different videos, and, you know, every once in a while, like a Dragon Ball Z one rolls through, but I'll listen to it and I'll get pumped up, and I'm like, and right before I walk out to fight, you know, I do pads and I rest a little bit just to break a sweat. And then when I'm done, my corner will walk away and they'll go shoot the shit. and
Mm.
I'll pace back and forth, and I just talk to myself. I'm
I
like,
see you talking to yourself and a little bit of that,
yep,
smacking yourself in the face. We all, I think we all do that whenever we know we're about to, get hit in the face, you
yeah.
kind of preparing yourself for that a little bit. Yeah, man, that's really cool. So I just realized just now that I haven't allowed you to introduce yourself. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna just say I'm interviewing Joe Skeletor Giannetti, and right now you hold a belt in two different weight classes for Cage Titans, correct?
Yep.
Right on. And you just coming off your the second belt win with Goody,
Yep.
right? Trevor Goody,
Yep.
and I watched that fight. Now I haven't seen all your fights, but what I have noticed is that you do seem like a people's champion. Like you're a working man. You're doing this to better your life and things like that. Do you think that that's part of the narrative that you want to maintain, or is that something that you're okay to abandon, or how do you feel about that?
I feel like initially, when I was on the Ultimate Fighter, that wasn't really my narrative, and I feel like it slowly just became my narrative.
Okay,
Um,
got you.
and it's not like I'm trying to keep it, but I am proud of it. I do
Yeah.
feel like I want to become one of the best, but I also want people to look at me like I'm an average Joe. Like
Okay.
I don't want you to lose your mind when you see me out somewhere. Like just come up and say hello, say what's up. Like people
Yeah.
say hi to me when I go out all the time, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Or and some people are like, "Oh my god, it's so crazy you're here. It's nice to meet you." And I'm just like, and some people will message me and go, "I saw you out. I didn't want to interrupt you." I'm like, "Come say hi." As
Yeah.
long as I'm not like at dinner with my girl, and some people have, and I don't think it's too rude. But if you do it the right way, like no, come say hi. I'm just a normal person,
Yeah.
and I do like especially, and I feel like the narrative amplified with this last fight where my opponent was trying to kind of brag that he doesn't work and his wife pays for everything. And if I have to work and pay bills, that's my problem.
And how
And
crazy was it that he just quit? Like
exactly.
he just quit, like just didn't, like he knew he was getting his ass whooped. I mean, and to me it was obvious. I was even surprised by the commentators. Um, I think it's just because the dude was so tall. I think they expected him to dominate, and it just didn't happen, man. Just didn't happen at all. And I thought you had that guillotine. I don't know if it was first round, but I mean, you had that thing sunk in deep. I thought it was over that first time, but yeah, no, I just in your striking game even was just it's on point, man. I think you've been compared to Nate Diaz a little bit.
A lot.
How do you feel about that?
He's one of my favorite fighters. I always think it's funny when people do it.
Yeah,
It actually happened in Vegas when I fought at the finale.
yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
the fighter elevators everybody goes to and wants to like see the guys. And I was
yeah.
cutting weight and I came down, my glasses on, and someone was like Nate Diaz, and I looked around like, where the hell is he?
Where is he? I
And
want to say hi.
and I lifted up my
Yeah.
glasses and they literally went like 10 people like, oh, and I was like, nope, just me.
just Joe Giannetti, the
Yeah.
guy that's fighting for the tough 27. Yeah. And I don't know, how has your opponent's career gone since he won that fight? Have you
He went on like a 2 or 3 fight win streak, like with our
Okay.
fight included, and then he lost a couple, and then he
Okay.
won a couple. I think he's coming off a loss, but it was a weird one. It was a
Does
good
he still
fight.
have a contract or no?
I don't know if the last one was the last fight on his contract, but
Okay.
I'm sure they'll keep him around because it was a back and forth brawl, and then
Okay.
he kind of collided heads, and that kind of led to him getting finished.
Got it. Yeah.
So it was like kind of
And
weird.
that's one thing that people don't ever think about is that those random, like, it doesn't have anything to do with skill. It's just two people collided at the same time. Just a wrong thing happened and somebody just goes down. And that can rock a fighter's career too,
Yeah.
and there's just unexpected going into that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think, the hypnosis and the things like that is important, is because if you've already kind of thought about the worst case scenario and you are able to process it and say that's okay and I can still come back from that, I can still recover, I think that that's a powerful tool.
Yeah, and I feel like some people are almost too much on the, I don't want to say too much on the positive end. I don't have a better term, but I feel like no, I'm going to go in there and win. I'm going to kick his ass and that's it. And it's like, that's all
Mhm.
good and dandy, but you have to, you can
Yeah.
believe that, but you have to also understand there is a reality where he beats you. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have,
and just random, just like chaos of the
exactly.
universe, just shit happens.
And
Yeah,
you have to just as much you have to envision the good, you have to envision the bad. Like every
right.
fight, I envision myself getting knocked out. I envision
Okay.
myself getting
Yeah.
stuck in a position and getting TKO'd because that's a reason we all love the sport. With such small gloves, any punch can knock you out.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
lightest
Jesus. Yeah.
punch, a jab that doesn't
It
hurt, that
right
you
there
can
on the chin, just right in the
you're
right
out.
spot, man. It's over. Right behind the ear. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's amazing how often I've seen it when guys, whenever it seems like it shouldn't happen. And then you have the antithesis, guys that seemingly doesn't matter what you hit them with and how hard you hit them or whatever, they never go down. It's like maybe that dude doesn't have a brain. Like what the hell's going on, you know? But I've seen both of those things. But so a classical Greek philosophy called Stoicism was responsible for thinking about the worst possible thing that could ever happen to you, and then realizing that no matter what happens to you in your life, it won't be that. Like, it doesn't matter what happens, it's not going to be that. Whatever you imagine, it's an imaginary thing. So no matter what you imagine, it won't be that. So don't be afraid of that. Like that, like whatever it was you imagined, it's not going to take you out because it won't be that. It'll be something else.
Exactly.
So it's like that alleviates that fear, right? And like you just said, it just takes it away. The power isn't there anymore because no matter what I'm imagining fear-wise, it won't be that, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty cool, man. I appreciate you sharing that. I had a question about something that if you want to cut this and not include it, but did Patty Pimbleton call you out on a weight thing? Like I tried to look for that, like, and it seems like it's been pretty much like cut. I can't find the weigh in. I can't find shit about it.
So
I don't know.
there's
What
a
happened?
reason there's a reason for it too, because I tell people all the time and they think I'm just trying to be funny, but this is how it went down. I decided that it was 2018, I think, or 2019, whatever the hell it was, but it was around November,
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. And I'm sitting at my dad's house. We split a house together at the time, and I'm sitting there Saturday night. My girlfriend's working. I'm watching TV, and I already told everybody I'm not fighting for the rest of the year. I want to focus on improving. I didn't end up doing that, so that's why I did it in 2020. But I ordered a steak. I ordered a steak and cheese sub. I was sitting in front of my TV. Just got delivered. Just about to take the first bite, and I get a message on Twitter. It was the matchmaker for Cage Warriors. They said, "Hey, Patty Pimblett's opponent fell out. Nobody will take the fight. Do you want to take it?" And I said, "Sure, what weight?" And he said, 155. So, all right, cool. Okay. When? Yeah. I said, when? And he said, whatever date it was. And I go on the calendar and I'm like, shit, that's 10 days. I'm like, all right, let me jump on the scale. So I put the sub down. Now I got this sub sitting here. I go check the scale. Yeah. I was 184. And I'm like, all right, I'm like 184.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of weight.
For 10 days?
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
So I'm thinking about my worst weight cuts. And I'm like, okay, I've
done, you want that sub. I mean, let's not lie.
So I go, I've got 10 days. I could cut like 15 pounds in the sauna. So if I can get down to like 170, then I can cut the weight. It's going to be horrible, but I can do it. So I end up going upstairs. I go upstairs. I go,
they don't let you guys IV anymore though in the UFC, right?
Nope. I don't know if you can for Cage Warriors, but I didn't think of it. But so I go upstairs. I give my dad the sub. I go, I just took a fight in England. And he goes, you don't even have a passport. And I go, we'll take care of that. So
the UFC will help with expedite that shit.
So I ended up going into the middle of Boston, right in the heart of Boston. So I'm sitting in traffic. I get in there. I overnight a passport. It's like $200. I'm like, whatever. I go back the next day to pick it up. I tell them, here's all my info. I'm all set. I got my passport. I got my cornerman. And I start cutting the weight. It was the unhealthiest weight cut I ever did. I told myself, you might feel like shit. You might look like shit, but you're going to make the damn weight. And I had 2 gallons of water a day, and I had 2 eggs a day. That's it.
Yeah, that'll do it. You'll start shedding weight.
And so we make it all the way to
keep your electrolytes up though, because you're still training, yeah?
Just chugging water. That's all I did. 2 gallons of water and 2 eggs.
Jesus.
It was so unhealthy. I tell people all the time, never
Bro.
replicate it.
Bro, that's insane.
So we get to England. It's the day before weigh-ins, and I woke up and I want to say I was like 170, 169. And I had already cut the night before. I cut like 4 pounds just as
So
like
you
a
got
head
another
start.
14 pounds to cut.
Yeah.
Or
so,
at 13 at minimum.
Yeah. So I jump in the sauna and I'm sweating like crazy. I'm pouring sweat. And I said, this is going to be a breeze. We're there for a couple hours. We got there at like 5 in the morning and we had to be back at the hotel at 10 or 11 to catch the bus. We're there all morning. I'm sweating like crazy.
I do want to say, like, from an athlete's perspective, I used to lose 8 pounds in workout all the time. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've had people be like, that's impossible, that you cannot do that. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I've done it. I've done it multiple occasions. And so you could do it. Theoretically, you could do it. At this point, 100%. You're not, you weren't too worried.
No, I was comfortable. I was like, it's the sauna. It kind of sucks, but this is going great. And a couple hours go by and I went in and I was like, all right, we're going to do an hour straight because time was getting kind of close. And I was like, we're going to do an hour straight in here. The sauna wasn't miserable. I can still breathe. Let's do it. I'm in there for an hour straight. And my teammate comes in and, we were swiping me off like a debit card to get the sweet sweat off. Yeah. And he swipes it and my skin's bone dry. Bone dry. Not even a drop of sweat. And so I go, we got this, right? And he goes, yeah, you're good. So I stayed in for another hour straight. I wasn't even beating up. There wasn't even like the tiniest bit of sweat. And I was like,
so you dried up.
I dried up like a wrung out towel. Yeah. So I was like, dude, I don't know what to do.
Cramping yet?
No, which was the craziest part. That's happened to me once, but
Bro,
luckily not
I've
yet.
Cramped so bad before, like sweating out. I've cramped so bad. It hurts like everywhere.
It hurts so bad.
Stomach, calves, back, like it hurts. Yeah.
So he was like, listen, go lay under the towels. Maybe being warm, but a little less hot will make you break a sweat. So I'm in like a cocoon of towels and I ended up passing out for like 5 minutes. I'm just like asleep. And he ends up texting.
That's creepy too, whenever you wake up from like a sleep that you didn't expect from dehydrating.
Oh yeah.
That's a weird wake up.
Because you almost wake up like you were asleep, so you should be refreshed, and then you wake up and your body's wrung out, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Oh yeah.
So he texted the promotion and was like, "Listen, Joe's 160, so I'm 4 pounds overweight. He's like, he's not gonna make it." And they were like, "All right, the bus leaves in 20 minutes. Come back to the hotel, and we'll make the fight happen." Yeah. So all right, cool. I'm 4 pounds over.
Wow. Okay.
So from 184 to 160. I was like, for me, that's a W. I lost 24 pounds in 10 days. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah, bro. So, that's a lot of damn weight.
I'm feeling like shit, but I'm glad that I got the 160 mark. Yeah. And we go to weigh-ins, and I told them all.
I guarantee you, every girl I've ever dated would be telling me right now, you're full of shit. There's no fucking way you did that.
And I get to weigh-ins, and they're like, they call us up, like it's our turn. Patty weighs in, he made weight, and then I jump on the scale, and it was a weird looking scale. Like, it wasn't like a flat square. It was like a thick, this is how I described it to people. It looked like a metal shoebox. Like, it was like a rectangle, but it was big. It was weird. So I step on it, whatever. And I'm looking over, I'm waiting for the dial to come up and then the digital thing. And then it says 164. And I was like, I'm 8 pounds over. I was like, I checked 3 scales that said I'm 160. And they were like, well, 160. They go, 164 is your official weight. And I was like, okay. So I walk over, they bring Patty over, we do our face off, and they were like, all right, like, go rehydrate, boys, like, whatever, and we walk away. And I go over to my teammate, because normally when you miss weight, they give you an hour to go back and try again. But at this point, I have no water left. And so I look at my teammate and I go, I've got nothing left, so should I just drink water? And he goes, yeah, have this too, and he gives me a Cliff Bar. So, of course, Patty and his team look over at me. And the first thing they see is me drinking water and taking a bite of my Cliff Bar. So they start flipping out. Oh, you didn't even try to cut weight again, this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going back in the sauna. I can't. And they're like, what do you mean you can't? And I was like, there's nothing left. I'm not sweating. My last 2 hours, I didn't even beat up. And one of his coaches gets in my face and he goes,
it was almost like, were you basically saying we either have to call the fight or we have to take the fight, but you make a call?
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was telling him. So
Yeah.
he starts yelling shit at me. You're a bitch. You just want a vacation, all this stuff.
What's the problem? What's the problem with taking a 30% cut of the purse and just going on with it? Like
I
that's what you
offered
were willing to do, right?
I offered him the whole purse. I said, you can have all
No,
my.
no, you did not.
I swear to God, you can look
swear
it
to
up.
God, you
I
definitely
swear,
did that.
right hand to God.
Yo, bro,
I said you can
you're
have
a
my.
fucking insane person.
I said you can have
Who
my
gives up
show
their
money
purse?
because I just wanted to beat his ass. So I said you can have my show
No,
money.
man, bro, you don't give up your fucking purse though. That's
So I
like
said,
the only reason you go. Like the only reason you fight. I don't want anybody punching me in the face unless I'm getting something back.
so I told him, I go, you can have my show money. I go, and then after
Okay.
after I whoop your ass, you can have my win money too. You can have all of it. And then
Whoa.
his coach gets in my face and goes, "You're going back in the sauna." And like I was kind of like sucked out at this point, but he was in my face, so I stepped up and I was like, "You gonna put me back in there?" And then he's yelling at me, Patty's yelling at me, I'm yelling at them, and then my teammate that's with me had just fought at 135, but he's walking around at 155, so he goes, "I'll fight him." And they were like, "Yeah, all right." So he steps on the scale, he's 155, and I go, "You can fight him." I go, "He's your weight. He's got his medicals done." They didn't want to have that happen. And then the promoter was like, "You guys calm down."
Wow. I wonder what's up. I think maybe they wanted your notoriety because you had been on Tough.
Well, I think they did for the win, but in England, he had much more notoriety than me, and that was the reason I was okay giving him the money because I knew beating him was a big thing. But you know,
been a big fight. Yeah.
He started talking shit, and then it became personal. Now I was like, screw the publicity, screw the money. I just want to beat your ass.
I don't know if you guys will ever be in the same weight class again. That dude is, I mean, I think he's my weight now. Like he
gets big.
He's a big old boy.
So we left. They sent us back to the hotel, and the promoter's like, "The fight's gonna happen. The fight's gonna happen. We'll figure it out." And I'm texting him because now they have like a restaurant/bar at the hotel, and I'm sitting there.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Hey, bartender, let me get a water." And I'm looking at my teammate and I go, depending on what the next text is, I'm either getting a chicken Caesar salad or I'm getting a cheeseburger with bacon on it. I was like, it's all up to them.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, we're texting back and forth.
You drink beer too, or no? You drink beer?
When the fight got canceled, I did. So I'm sitting there.
I don't know, man. Some fighters are like, you know, I know Khabib doesn't drink at all because, well, that's his religion though.
Yeah.
Still, you know, some fighters don't drink. So
yeah. So I'm sitting there and I get the text. They said, "Listen, Patty doesn't want the fight. It's not going to happen." And I went, "Okay, fair enough. Let me get a cheeseburger and a Bud Light." And they bring it over and I'm sitting there. And then same hotel, guess who walks in? Patty and all of his friends.
God.
So now they walk in and I've got a cheeseburger and beer in front of me after missing weight. So I know what it looks like. And they come over and they're like surrounding us, just kind of chirping a little bit. And I'm just like, "Guys, I'm like, we can fight." I didn't even eat it yet. And I look at Patty, I go, "We can still fight." I go, "You're talking all this shit. In America, when we talk like that, we fight. So why don't we just fight tomorrow night?"
Yeah, even without a purse.
Yeah. And he goes, oh, you just want a vacation. You didn't come to make weight. You know, he's going on and on. And then, you know, he goes on Twitter with this barrage. You know, he can't beat me in the cage, so he's going to try and take me out online. And he's like, he came for a vacation.
I couldn't find any of that. I don't know if it's been removed since, but I couldn't find it.
None of mine has, unless somebody's reported it, because we were getting heated going back and forth.
I looked for it. I couldn't find any of it. I wasn't even really all that interested because it's like nothing happened.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I mean,
that's the worst part is after everything, nothing happened except for some back and forth.
It just looked like a bunch of hype. You know?
Yeah.
But and I kind of felt the same way about like, I don't know. I even reached out to you because the last UFC fight where Kazmat missed weight. And for the Diaz fight, and it almost seems staged. It almost seems like it's like fake or something because, and as a fan of fighting, I know that a lot of people have requested for tighter weight classes, but there's just not that many fighters in the world that want to go out there and bang like UFC fighters are okay with. Yeah. And I don't think people realize that. Like, the high caliber that's required to put on UFC fights there's just not that many of you guys out there, right? I mean,
And I
like,
think I
you
think the
think there
thing
is,
is,
but
yeah, you think there is, but
there's not.
how many guys get in on the Contender Series and wash out, or how many guys get signed short notice and wash
Yeah,
out? It's easy to fight.
like
It's hard to
most.
put on a high level fight.
Yeah, yeah. The majority of people wash out, and fair enough. Who wants to get punched in the face all the time? It's not a glamorous thing to do, right? But you're good at it, and you're doing well, and so we want to see you back in the UFC. I know I do. So talk to me a little bit about what's that look like now that you own two belts for Cage Titans. Are you looking at any other promotions before UFC if it doesn't happen, or like what's the next step? Like what's the progression of a fighter like of your caliber?
I mean, where I'm at is just defend my titles and wait for the call or wait for another opportunity. You know, people keep talking about another season of Tough. I know Dana mentioned it last night after the Contender Series that they're working on their next season, and you know they recently
Would you
did
do it
one.
again?
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
I
You
think
seem like you
that
didn't really care for like you seem like the type of person that likes say your close social support, like
Mhm.
your girlfriend, I don't know, the people around you, things like that, your gym. And so it seemed like at the house, I wouldn't say that you broke emotionally at all, but I would say that you definitely struggled, and you were younger, right? Like a lot
yeah.
younger too. So what would you say toward that?
I don't think I broke. I think I thrived mentally because I had to.
Hmm.
I got thrown across the country in a house full of guys from all over the world that were some of the best undefeated fighters. And the negative and positive thoughts rushing through my head, I had to balance on my own. You know what I mean?
Got it.
I didn't
Yeah.
have any buddies at home being like, "Oh, you'll kill that guy," or "Oh, you're better than him," or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
work harder, or a coach being like, "Don't do this, do that." Like I had to regulate that myself, and that was
Got it.
hard. But I feel like I improved because of it, because I could just focus on me, and I was the only person there to help me mentally, at least.
Yeah. Have you ended up with lifelong friends from the house, or really did it end up being contentious so much so that you guys just all went your separate ways, type of thing?
I made a lot of lifelong friends. I think our entire team, we just joined together like so easily. You know, us and the
Yeah,
coaches, and as a team. You know, I think the Ultimate Fighter's been on for so long that any mature fighter goes into that house realizes that you could fight any of your teammates, and if you can just keep that in the back of your head until the time comes, it's very easy to get along with people on your team at least. You know, I was cool
got
with
it.
pretty much everybody, but our team really came together fast. And, you know, I still talk to the guys
Yeah.
every once in a while. I talk to DC, I talk to all the coaches.
Oh, cool.
So it
So
was a
DC
true,
DC would pick up a phone call or reply to a text, no worries, or something like that.
yep. And, you know, he's invited me down to his wrestling gym. I've gone down there when I go to California. Just a lot of really cool relationships from the show. And I feel like if you're a
And
fighter, you need that.
he and Khabib were training partners and close and shit like that too, right? So
Yep. Still close.
so yeah, yeah, very close. Yeah, very close. Um, that is a question I want to ask is just like Khabib, what's it like, you know, working with him, and how does he treat you as a fighter? Does he like I know he so you have to earn his respect, yeah?
I wouldn't say you have to earn his respect, but you definitely have to show him that that you're almost like worth working with. You know, my very first day at AKA ever, I sparred with him when he was getting ready for McGregor. That was my introduction to Khabib. There we go.
Hey
Back.
man, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I was like, it
Dude,
said it ended. I was like, what the hell?
I was so into that conversation too, talking, listening to again, I know a legend, Khabib Nurmagomedov. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you being here, but I want to support and promote you. So, do you mind letting us know where we can find you? I know you're on Twitch, you do gaming stuff. So, my kid is a big time gamer. I am almost 40, so unfortunately, I missed out on the whole gaming thing. You know what's funny? I play chess. That's what
Okay.
I do chess and shit like that. But Yeah, I'd love to let my followers know where to find you and fans and things like that. So Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, how and where can we find you? And we're going to share it in the comment section as well.
You can find me anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. It's just Giannetti MMA, 2 N's, 2 T's.
Giannetti.
Giannetti.
Not everybody's Italian, bro.
I keep it the same. It's hard enough trying to say it, forget to spell it. GIANNETTIMMA.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on there. I go live a couple times a week on Twitch, and I'm always posting on all my other social media. And
you play Fortnite and what else?
Warzone, and I play a bunch of games, but those are the 2 I stream primarily. Dabbling in other ones.
Fortnite.
New Call of Duty.
And I've heard a few people call you JoJo.
Yep.
Are you okay with that?
Yep, I go by JoJo.
JoJo, Skeletor Giannetti, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah,
definitely the last guy you faced looked more like a skeleton than you did.
Yeah, 100%.
No, but I love the fact that, you and I both have weight loss stories. We both were kind of bullied as kids for being overweight, and, both of us found our way into health and fitness, and also these visualization techniques and tools and things like that. I love that you were okay using the term hypnosis and hypnotizing yourself every day. What do you think about the phrase, the best version of yourself?
I think it's something that you can chase for the rest of your life, because it changes every day. If you become the best version of yourself, there's another way in a different area in your life you can improve and become the best version of yourself.
That's dope. So then it doesn't mitigate that pursuit though, right?
Yeah.
But it just helps you realize that you're never done, right?
Exactly.
Like there's no reason to quit.
Exactly. And it's all perspective, because like you said, some people could get overwhelmed by that the chase never ends.
Yeah.
But there's milestones, like I said, if I want to get better at my boxing, and that would if I get better at boxing, that's technically the best version of myself that's ever existed. But if I get better at my wrestling on top of that, that'll be the best version of myself that ever existed. So there might not be an end, but there's milestones.
Right. Got it. Right on. So whenever someone's trying to visualize the best version of themselves, what would you suggest?
If you can't picture yourself as the best version of yourself, take a person that you want to be and just like click and drag a picture of yourself over them.
Kind of model it.
Yeah, celebrity, an athlete, a family member. If you want to behave and act like that person and be like them, just imagine everything that they do, but yourself doing it, and kind of structure yourself that way.
I like the click and drag is nice. It's a new, definitely more modern.
It's easy to envision that way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Who doesn't use a computer today?
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, because how many fighters do you see that are like, I'm the best ever, I'm better than this guy, I'm better than that guy? And
it happens all the time. It's so sad for me to watch an interview like that, and then the guy just get fucking wrecked, and I just go, was that just what the cameras were showing, or did you really think that? Because if you said that once or twice and that's what the cameras are showing, that's one thing. But if that's really your mentality heading into that fight, it's like, man, now what are you gonna do? Like that guy knocked you the fuck out and wrecked you and made you look like a fool on television. Now what do you do now that you made all those claims? I wonder, what does that effect have on those guys?
And I think that's
and girls, I've seen the girls do it too.
I think it kind of goes back to like who you're surrounded with. Like I said, I don't tell people that I'm just better than them. I tell people the best version of me is the best fighter that anybody's ever seen, or that best version is the best fighter nobody's ever seen. And that's something to chase. Like, maybe I'm better than
that's dope. And that's not wrong, right? The best version of you haven't even ever seen, because you're not there yet, right?
And so no matter how good I
Yeah.
do, I know I
Okay.
can do better. And if I'm not,
Yeah.
if I'm not the UFC lightweight champ, that means somebody's better than me. That means I'm not my best version
Mm,
yet. That means I have something to improve on.
yeah.
But the fear of losing, getting knocked out, and what that can do to you, the fear of losing used to be the biggest obstacle in my way before I walked into the cage.
You
For
used to
all
be
the
afraid of losing, huh?
for all the
You
wrong
never looked
reasons.
like it, bro. You
It
never looked like you were afraid of losing.
it wasn't even so much the loss, and because I wrestled in high school my junior year, I didn't win a single match, so losing isn't something new to me. It wasn't losing, it was what comes with losing. And it's because I was hanging out with the wrong people that didn't
Mm,
have my best intentions in mind. Now I go out there and I'm like, if I lose, whether it's a bullshit decision, I get run over, I just happen to get caught in a fight that I'm winning, when I wake up or when I get out of the doctor's room, my girlfriend's gonna love me, my friends are gonna love me, my family's gonna love me. Win or
absolutely.
lose, that's not going to change, and that
Still have a life.
takes so much weight off my shoulders.
Mm, yeah. And so many guys I see going into that house, like they go in there believing that this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I don't get this, I don't think I have anything left.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the redemption series was good to kind of highlight that,
Yep.
But yeah, man, it's been great talking to you, Joe.
Anytime.
And you're a great guy. I really do enjoy watching your Instagram. I enjoy chatting with guys who are at the highest level. You hold two belts right now.
We're on the way.
You hold two belts. How do we get you back in the UFC? Like I'm a fan. How do we get you? How do we get you back? Other than tweeting at Dana and tagging him, like it helps to finance your training camps, right? Because like right now you're having to work. And I
Yep.
saw a video the other day. You're heading home from work at like 3:30 in the morning. And man, I'm sorry, but I've trained before a little bit. Nothing like you. I'm not never been professional. Not gonna be professional ever. But I've trained a little bit before, and I know having to come home at work at 3:30 a.m. and trying to rack up a little bit of sleep and get back to the gym and shit like that. It's not easy. So a training camp, like financing a training camp would help. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I never go out and ask people for money. Plenty of people have
I
given
know
me
you don't.
money.
I know you don't.
I tell people if they
That's why
want
I'm
to
here.
if they want to give me they want to give me money, it's more than appreciated.
Yeah.
If there's a way for me to give back in return, like if somebody has a business or a podcast or whatever, if they want to give me money, I would feel better about it if I can, repost your podcast, post your business.
Yeah.
Some people have given me a lot of money out of random, and I'm like, okay, you're sponsoring me. And they're like, no, 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 I'm giving you money. I go, no, 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 you're sponsoring me. Whether you like it or not, your logo's going on my shorts, my shirts, my social media, because that makes me feel better. I know people do it out of the kindness of their heart, but I like to give back to people that are supporting me.
Okay.
So financial, I'll take all the help I can get, and I'd like to give back in return. But also, just reposting stuff, sharing it, tagging Dana and Sean Shelby. It's going to get to the point probably within the next couple of weeks where I'll still be posting, but I'm not going to be tagging them in every post because, people that see me are going to see me, and I'm going to get back on that grind. But, you guys can tag them all day long because it's different. I'm the guy that's just grinding. You're the guys letting them know, hey, we want to see him fighting for you. And it almost carries more weight coming from a fan than a fighter.
Right on. Well, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being willing to talk to me this evening. You're a rock star. I really do think that you're a phenomenal fighter. I enjoy your striking. I enjoy your ground game. I'm shocked that you're not already in the UFC. I really want to see you back in there. I think
Soon.
I think you still have several years ahead of you, and you're not an old guy like me, so you still got more time. But at the same time, you're a good person, and I think your journey has resonated with me because I think that you're an intellectual, whether you know that you are or not. You seem to actually think about things a lot deeper than a lot of people that I've talked to, especially in fighting. It is hard to find people with a high caliber of fight acuity and that intelligence and just having that IQ for the fight, but also having outside the ring and acuity and an IQ to talk about things that are on a different level. And you seem to always be able to bring that. So I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here and willing to chat with me today. So thank you.
No problem. I appreciate you having me. I mean, this is different than any other interview I do. I feel like it's something that I've wanted to start posting about more is mental health, mentality of fighters. It's funny because like when
I care a lot.
Yeah, 100%. And I always tell people like, I just don't want people, and maybe it's for the best. I don't want people to go through some of the shit that I've gone through. And maybe you have to get to where you're supposed to be, but the shit sucks. So I'd like to avoid people going through it. But sometimes you can't. So you kind of got to know that other people have done it, so you can do it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. What weight are you at right now?
Right now I'm 180.
180. I'm 215, and I'm sorry, but I don't want to roll with you. You're tougher than I am. And I know I fucked with you on Instagram and said that I thought but no, I know you're a bad dude, and I know it. I see it, and I respect it. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Joe.
No problem.
Uh-oh, got the dog coming in.
Right.
Uh-oh, gonna get my dogs going. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you so much, Joe. You're a rock star. Let's do it again.
For sure. Have a good one.
All right, man. Hey, I ordered a t-shirt.
I know. I saw it. It should be on its way.
I was hoping to wear it tonight. Like I was gonna rock your shit. Oh yeah, and so that's what I meant to say is like, if you want to promote and get JoJo a training camp and buy his merch. So he has
GiannettiMMA.com.
What is it?
GiannettiMMA.com. 2 N's and 2 T's.
GiannettiMMA.com.
Yep.
2 N's, 2 T's, GiannettiMMA.com. That's where you go to get his merch, and that's where you go to support him. He's a great guy, really, really kind and generous for spending time with me tonight. Joe, have a great night. Thanks, bro.
You too. Appreciate it.
I'm out.
See you later.
Later.